Happy Star Wars Day, everyone, and welcome to the Double Blue, Green, and Red podcast reviews. I'm Gabinator. I'm Henry.
I'm Gordon.
And I'm James. And today we'll be reviewing why the TIE Defender would have been better than the Death Star for the Empire in Star Wars.
Just to refresh my memory, what is the TIE Defender again?
It's a TIE fighter that defends the Empire.
Very droll, James. But seriously, aside from how it looks, what makes the Defender so different from the normal TIE fighters?
Well, Gordon, I'm glad you asked. Unlike regular TIE fighters, who are pretty much the cheaply made pawns of the Empire Space Navy, a TIE Defender has strong deflector shields, missiles, and even hyperdrives. Aye, not only are these things also incredibly fast, but they are also very easy for someone with little experience to pilot, as shown with Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels when he and Sabine hijacked one.
Huh, by the sound of it, these TIE fighters would definitely have dealt a crushing blow to the Rebels' fleet.
Even more than those ordinary bow ties.
Bow ties?
The TIE fighters, they almost look like bow ties, hence their name. Isn't that obvious?
Actually, James, the TIE part of the fighter stands for Twin Ion Engine.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Although, Gabinator, when you think about it, the TIE fighters do sort of look like bow ties. Yeah, I came to that conclusion at first too, Henry.
Funny how things tie in, don't you agree?
Alright, we've had our laugh, now back to today's podcast. The TIE Defender would have been great in both offense and defense for the Empire's fleet and could have been a huge challenge for the Rebel Alliance, but can the same be said for the Death Star?
Given the fact that that metal moon was blown up twice, I find it impossible to say the same.
That's no moon, Gordon. It's a space station.
I'm well aware of that, James, but still, what was the point of the Empire wasting so much time and money creating that planet killer?
It was pretty much both a weapon and symbol of fear to keep the Empire's star systems in line. Aye, but the Empire could have also done that with the TIE Defenders, who were tough to destroy because of their shields and... Oh, looks like we have a guest speaker chiming in. Hello, this is the Double Blue, Green, and Red podcast reviews.
DR2D2, the famous astromech of Star Wars.
My word, this is such an honor.
Aye, and a good thing a holo device has translating properties, otherwise we wouldn't be able to understand what you're saying.
Unless C-3PO was in the call too.
If I recall, R2, didn't you not carry the plans of the Death Star back before the Battle of Yavin? What are your thoughts on it? Would the TIE Defender have been better for the Empire than the Death Star?
Really? You agree with our opinion? I mean, didn't you and Luke not have trouble destroying it?
Huh, you're right. Remembering the Battle of Yavin, the TIE fighters were the only ones that mainly took out the X-Wings.
Aye, those turbo lasers couldn't even hit those X-Wings when they were dangerously enclosed in the Death Star's trenches leading to the exhaust port, but that was no problem for the TIEs.
Speaking of which, that exhaust port, I know it's supposed to release used heat from the Death Star's reactor, but that thing is literally an open hole.
I agree. It's almost like it's got its own self-destruct button. What kind of idiot would design something like that?
Probably a certain doofus from Phineas and Ferb. Well, whoever designed that exhaust port into the Death Star, it further proves why the TIE Defender would have been more of a threat to the Rebels than that metal moon.
So why didn't the Empire just use TIE Defenders?
Because a certain governor of Losal, who was trying to get at the Rebels, promised the project to build many Defenders by destroying the factory fuel supply required for it. And now that we've gone through our overall review, let's take a short break before we finish off today's podcast.
Who's that character?
R2-D2. So lads, what are your personal opinions? Would the TIE Defender have been better for the Empire? Aye, the Defenders are definitely the perfect fighters for rookie starfighter pilots.
Not to mention, they could have built hundreds of them using the same amount of time and money it took to make the first and second Death Stars.
Not to mention, Grand Moff Tarkin once supported the TIE Defender project in comparison to the Death Star, saying that the latter was nothing but expenses and excuses for years on end.
From my personal view, even if the Empire did use TIE Defenders instead of the Death Star, the Rebels would always find a way to exploit their weaknesses, and the Defenders' features would never compare to that of a better pilot such as Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, or Hera Syndulla.
And with all that out of the way, we all hope you liked our review of why the TIE Defender would have been better than the Death Star for the Empire.
If you have any thoughts about it, or have a suggestion for our future podcast, sound off down below in the comments.
Thank you all for joining us, and thank you R2 for being our guest speaker today. And that's all we've got for today. So until next time, may the Force be with you and stay awesome.